The beginning of life is perhaps of the most basic inquiry in science. How did the principal living things appear? What were the substance and states of being that led to them? There is no single, settled-upon hypothesis of the beginning of life. We additionally concentrated on certain hypotheses to figure out the beginning of life. We examine it without further ado, fellows, for better information. The beginning of life is perhaps of the best secret in science. Researchers have been reading up it for quite a long time, yet there is still no single settled-upon hypothesis. One of the most famous hypotheses is the early-stage soup hypothesis. This hypothesis proposes that the principal living things emerged from a combination of natural particles that existed in the early Earth's environment and seas. These particles might have been delivered by synthetic responses, like lightning strikes or volcanic ejections. Another hypothesis is the RNA world theory. This hypothesis proposes that RNA, a particle that can both store hereditary data and catalyze substance responses, was the primary type of life. RNA might have self-imitated and advanced into more perplexing living things. Still another hypothesis is the panspermia speculation. This hypothesis recommends that life on Earth started somewhere else in the universe and was brought to Earth by shooting stars or comets. These are only a couple of the numerous speculations about the beginning of life. Almost certainly, the genuine clarification is a blend of these speculations. Here are a portion of the key advances that are remembered to have happened in the beginning of life. 1. The development of natural particles from inorganic atoms. 2. The self-gathering of these particles into additional complicated designs. 3. The advancement of the capacity to imitate. 4. The rise of normal choice. The investigation of the beginning of life is a difficult and captivating field of examination. Researchers are continually learning new things about this subject, and almost certainly, we will keep on learning more in the years to come. Here are a portion of the difficulties in concentrating on the starting points of life. The early Earth was a totally different spot than it is today. The environment was a lot more extravagant in gases like methane and smelling salts, and the temperature was a lot more sweltering. The main living things were most likely exceptionally basic and delicate. They might have abandoned no fossils, making it challenging to track down proof of their reality. The course of abiogenesis is probably going to have been extremely perplexing and involved many advances. Reproducing this cycle in the laboratory is troublesome. Regardless of these difficulties, researchers are gaining ground in figuring out the starting points of life. They are utilizing different techniques, including research center analyses, programmatic experiences, and hypothetical investigations. The investigation of the beginnings of life is an indispensable piece of how we might interpret the universe. It assists us with addressing inquiries concerning our own starting points and the chance of life somewhere else in the universe. Nonetheless, there are two primary methodologies that researchers are taking to attempt to address this inquiry. Granular perspectives. Begin with straightforward synthetic substances and attempt to reproduce the circumstances that might have existed on the early Earth. These investigations have shown that it is feasible to make a portion of the structure blocks of life, like amino acids and nucleotides. Nonetheless, they have not yet had the option to make a self-recreating framework that could be thought of as alive. Hierarchical methodologies. Begin with current creatures and attempt to follow their developmental history back to the earliest living things. This exploration has shown that the fundamental instruments of life, like digestion and DNA replication, are extremely old. In any case, it doesn't let us know how these components originally emerged. Another procedure that is being investigated is to join the base-up and hierarchical methodologies. This methodology, called framework science, intends to concentrate on the beginning of life as a perplexing compound framework. By understanding the communications between various synthetics and particles, researchers desire to have the option to distinguish the key advances that prompted the rise of life. One promising area of exploration in framework science is the investigation of electron transport chains. Electron transport chains are fundamental for life today, as they move energy starting with one particle then on to the next. Notwithstanding, they could likewise had an impact in the beginning of life, as they might have assisted with creating the primary self-duplicating frameworks. One more area of exploration is the investigation of RNA. RNA is a particle that can both store hereditary data and catalyze substance responses. This makes it a decent contender for the principal hereditary material, as it might have both encoded the directions forever and assisted with building the primary cells. The beginning of life is a mind-boggling and testing issue, however researchers are gaining ground in figuring out it. By consolidating the base-up and hierarchical methodologies, and by concentrating on atoms like RNA and electron transport chains, researchers are drawing nearer to settling this essential secret. Notwithstanding the exploration referenced above, there are different lines of request that researchers are seeking after in their journey to figure out the beginning of life. These incorporate the investigation of shooting stars, which might contain natural particles that might have added to the early Earth's synthetic soup, the investigation of aqueous vents, which are hot, submerged springs that might have given a cordial climate to the beginning of life, and the quest for life on different planets, which could give signs about how life began on the planet. The beginning of life is an interesting and testing field of examination. While we actually have a lot to learn, the headway that researchers have made lately is empowering. With proceeded with research, we may one day have the option to respond to this principal question about the idea of life.